Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. I'm your host, Walter, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a story that's been unfolding in recent days, and it's one that has significant implications for global politics and international relations. The United Nations has announced that it will be reimposing sanctions on Iran, following a series of developments related to the country's nuclear program. To give you some context, the sanctions are being reinstated after 3 European countries, France, Germany, and the UK, triggered a mechanism in the 2015 nuclear deal that allows for the reimposition of sanctions. This move comes after Iran exceeded limits on its uranium enrichment and stockpile, which were set out in the agreement. Now, it's worth noting that the situation is complex, and there are different perspectives on what's happening. The Iranian government has argued that the sanctions are unfair and that the country is being unfairly targeted. On the other hand, the US and other countries have expressed concerns about Iran's nuclear program and its potential to develop nuclear weapons. We want to approach this story in a fair and balanced way, so we'll be looking at different viewpoints and analyzing the implications of these sanctions. We'll also be exploring how this development is affecting people on the ground in Iran, from the economy to everyday life. According to reports, the sanctions are already having an impact on food prices in Iran, with many staples becoming increasingly expensive for ordinary citizens. This has led to concerns about hunger and poverty, as well as anxiety about the potential for further conflict. The Iranian government has also been facing criticism for its human rights record, particularly in recent months. There have been reports of a surge in executions, with over 1,000 people put to death so far this year. This has raised concerns among human rights groups and advocates, who are calling for greater accountability and transparency. As we continue to follow this story, we'll be bringing you updates and analysis from experts and individuals on the ground. We'll also be exploring the broader implications of these sanctions and how they might affect regional and global stability. That's all for now. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're taking a closer look at some of the most significant stories making headlines around the world. In our previous segment, we explored the ongoing situation in France, where the country is grappling with its economic future. Now, let's shift our focus to Eastern Europe, where Moldova is preparing for a critical parliamentary election. Moldova, a former Soviet republic and EU candidate country, has been at the center of attention due to concerns over alleged Russian interference in its electoral process. Just days before the vote, the country's election authority excluded 2 pro-Russian parties from participating, citing suspected illegal financing and foreign funding. The decision to ban these parties has sparked debate, with some arguing that it's a necessary step to ensure the integrity of the electoral process, while others see it as an attempt to suppress certain political views. The ruling pro-European Party of Action and Solidarity, led by President Maia Sandu, is seeking to maintain its parliamentary majority, but polls suggest that opposition parties may gain ground due to concerns over the high cost of living and a sluggish economy. It's essential to note that Russia has denied any involvement in Moldova's internal affairs. However, the situation remains complex, with many factors at play. As we continue to monitor developments in Moldova, it's crucial to consider multiple perspectives and avoid jumping to conclusions. The upcoming election will undoubtedly have significant implications for Moldova's future, including its aspirations to join the European Union by 2030. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it unfolds. In related news, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has warned that any aggression against Russia will be met with a decisive response. This statement comes amid ongoing tensions between Russia and Western nations. We're committed to providing you with balanced and unbiased coverage of these complex issues. As we move forward, we'll continue to explore the intricacies of global politics and their far-reaching consequences. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. We're closing out today's show with a deep dive into the latest developments in U.S. politics. The indictment of former FBI Director James Comey has sent shockwaves through Washington, with many weighing in on the implications of this move. To give you a brief rundown, Comey was indicted on 2 counts related to his 2020 testimony in front of the Senate regarding probes into alleged ties between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. This development comes after President Trump called for several of his political enemies, including Comey, to be prosecuted. Now, let's take a step back and look at this from different angles. On one hand, supporters of the president see this as a victory, with many believing that Comey's actions during his time as FBI director were unjustified and warranted scrutiny. On the other hand, critics argue that this indictment is a clear example of political retaliation and an abuse of power. Former CIA Director John Brennan has also spoken out, stating that he won't be intimidated by prosecution threats. This highlights the intense polarization surrounding these issues, with many public figures feeling the need to take a stand. It's essential to remember that in a democratic society, the rule of law must be upheld, and no one should be above the law. However, it's equally important to ensure that the justice system is not used as a tool for political vendettas. As we navigate these complex times, it's crucial to stay informed and critically evaluate the information presented to us. The potential government shutdown looming on the horizon adds another layer of complexity to an already tumultuous landscape. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.